Live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills.
Ready. Standing by.
Five, four, three, two, one. You are live, you are live.
Good morning and welcome on board the Sunrise Safari. We have got two vehicles heading out in the Masai Mara, one in the Sabi Sands. We will be in the Masai Mara Reserve in the next few minutes. You may have the joy of passing through the Musiara Gate with us, and it's just around the next corner. It is a beautiful day, not a cloud in the sky, and I'm teamed up with Ferg on camera. We have got a master plan to find 5 male cheetahs that we've spoken about quite a bit but yet to show you. So that is our goal for the morning, hence us coming around to this side of the reserve. We've crossed the Mara River just outside of the reserve. There's only one crossing point in the reserve, and that's far to the south. So looking forward to spending some time in a fresh spot. I've only been through this area twice. So exciting prospects. Who knows what we may find, even if we do not find those 5 male cheetah. I'm hoping to get a report from the cheetah researchers, as one of the males is collared for research purposes. So if they can just let us know roughly where they were, they get sent updates at 6 o'clock every morning, provided the weather's good, provided there's no clouds, which there are none. So it shouldn't take us long to hopefully get some intelligence on those 5 boys. They're a very formidable coalition, and take down fully grown wildebeest, which is quite an undertaking for cheetah. They are very slight, and to kind of compare it to another predator that we see hunting, lion taking down a buffalo, or 5 lion taking down a buffalo, is a very similar match to 5 cheetah taking down a wildebeest. It's risky for them. They're big animals, the wildebeest, and of course they do have horns that they will use to try and defend themselves. So I'm sure if we spend enough time with them, we'll be able to get to see some incredible action. You would like to know if we've got seat belts. I did see one somewhere when we've been rigging these vehicles, but we don't use them. Ferg certainly doesn't have one where he's sitting. Let me see if I can show you where Ferg's sitting, just to give you a bit of an idea. It's going to require the selfie cam. And if you can zoom in on that, Ferg, then maybe they will be able to see you. So there he is. Perfect. There's Ferg sitting there on his U seat. Oh, I'm not doing it. And he doesn't have a seat belt. So the speed we probably travel at is 40 miles an hour. And to be honest, if I added one more cable or thing to my body or list of things to do, I think I'd be tangled up in a knot. These vehicles are filled with cable and a lapel mic, so less is more regarding seat belts on these roads. Hello to I Walk in the Rain. You would like to know if this is the typical highway that we move through in these parts. And yes, this is fairly typical. This is actually quite a good stretch of road. Some of the stretches of road in various parts of the Mara or surrounding the Mara are not very enjoyable, very bumpy, but this is quite a good stretch. We are actually in surrounding community conservancies now. So how it works is there's the Mara Triangle on the western side of the river, the Mara Reserve on the eastern side, and surrounding both the triangle and the reserve all the way around, also to the east, there are community conservancies. So not hugely dissimilar to the Sabi sands being attached to the Kruger National Park. You get conservancies that are attached to the reserve and the Mara Triangle. However, there are no fences anywhere, and the community conservancies are allowed to graze their cattle in the community land, but it is controlled grazing. So the conservancies, it's almost ranching, you could say, where there's both livestock and wildlife existing together, and the communities benefit from lodges being built on that community land as they pay rent. So the Maasai people have quite a good income, both from rent from lodges as well as income from their own farming of livestock. Okay, now I'm sure all of you are eagerly awaiting to get further updates on James from his own mouth as to what happened and how he's feeling. So off you go to see how he's doing.
Good morning. I apologize for my current appearance as I look Hashtag Safari Live for any questions you might have. My name is James Hendry, and I will not be talking to you for the duration of the drive. The only reason I as this bandage might suggest it is, this is Kirsten's idea of bandaging. I have two small gashes there, and then the problem is, of course, that my eye was also hit, but I don't think I've lost any sight in it. I can still see out of the eye, but we're just keeping it patched. Let's go to Dusty Crossing. At Dusty Crossing, where not much is crossing, but the birds still seem to be having a good fun swim as they were doing yesterday evening. And remember, you can ask any questions, send any comments that you'd like to. I'll level best to answer them in a fashion that is both serious and entertaining at the same time. And can we go to Main South, perhaps? Is that possible? Let me just zoom out there, see what's going on. Now, yesterday we were asked quite a lot about whether or not animals cross the rivers at night. And we've certainly yet to see evidence of it, but as Scott said, maybe during a full moon night. I am leaning towards thinking, because as soon as the sun comes up, you know, these cameras turn on and we see what is happening. I'm leaning towards thinking that they cross only in the heat of the day. I think it's very seldom that they come, even in the late evening. They tend to stay away from the rivers, and I suspect that's because they know that even, well, while the crocodiles are certainly lurking in the depths and they can't see them, I think what you'll find is that, of course, they are not entirely ignorant to the fact that lions tend to hunt at night, and that riverbanks and watercourses generally are dangerous places for animals trying to escape from lions. One of the things that they don't have to escape from, of course, is the yellow-billed stork, which is what we have over there. I'm sorry, that's probably a bit bright. Let me just try and reduce the brightness there. There we go. Ooh, let's see if I can track him. I'm not sure I can track him with one eye. There it goes. Sorry about that, everyone. I'm sure you'll forgive me. Some of you will. And thank you for all feeling sorry for me. I'll do my best to get better. I'm sure I will get better. Oh, there's a hippo. Let's have a look at him. We had the most beautiful evening yesterday. I don't know if you were with us, but we watched. It was from Dusty Crossing largely. Or was it? Yes, it was from Dusty Crossing that we watched the hippo just enjoying the evening, and we watched the swallows dipping in through the pink water which was reflecting the sky. It was very gorgeous. This chap might in fact be a rock. Yes, not a hippopotamus, but a rock. Fantastic. I'm obviously going to need my other eye to see the difference between rocks and hippos. Hello, Kylie. You say, do I need stitches? I hope not. I don't think so. No, I mean, there was a little bit of blood. Well, you know, if you nick the skin on your forehead, you find that it bleeds as though you've been shot, which of course I certainly wasn't. And once Scott had cleaned the wound and Fergus had sort of given some encouragement and had a bit of a giggle, and Kirsten had plumped pillows all around, it was revealed that the injury to the forehead is not as severe as obviously the blood would indicate. That is somebody on Game Drive. Very entertaining. Don't know who they are. Hope they've got a first aid kit with them. Maria, you're wondering if the camera streams here are like the dam cams at Djuma. I think they are very similar. They're probably a slightly more sophisticated version, because I think they need to send quite a lot more data quite a long, a longer distance. I don't know the specs exactly, but certainly the picture looks roughly the same. I don't know which camera is working at Djuma at the moment. Remember the one that sits above the pan as opposed to the one that sits above the dam. The really good one we had that went on the blink, went on the fritz until I left. It was like that one. So all high definition. Those are spur-winged lapwings, and they're looking for aquatic invertebrates, snails, and the like. As soon as you know when I say "and the like," it means I'm not actually reading it. I've just forgotten exactly what the list is. Having a bit of a bath as well. I think these are rather special birds, and I'm looking forward to the day that I actually see the spur that they have. It's like a claw that sits on the elbow joint of their little wings. Obviously they're quite vicious with each other when they are, well, thinking about trying to mate. Good. I suppose we could also have a look at the what's the one called? Mountain cam. I can never remember what a mountain cam's called. There we go. Mountain cam. Yes, we do. Well, there is I'm not sure if he's a doctor. $2 a night to stay. You don't want to feel like there isn't medical care at hand, so there is a doctor around. And then if there was a big problem, and then if there was an even bigger problem, we'd fly back to Japan. That the heart transplant was performed, along with a number of other medical firsts. Laura Moore, what a wonderful question that you've asked. Now, clearly telling me to repeat it. You said, what words of reflection did I utter when the bungee cord hit me in the eye? Well, the first one began with an F, and then the second utterance was my eye. So you can put that together. And then I very strangely remained quite remarkably calm. I was quite pleased with myself. I bent over double, lay on the floor for a while, decided that I could definitely see out of my left eye, so that was all right. It was still quite dark at the time. And then I stood up, but I had to sit down again because, of course, then the adrenaline kicks in and you feel nauseous and it's very unpleasant. But now I feel fine, but for a little bit of a throbbing pain above my right eye. And you will ever see me like this. Staring down the plains to where I hope the 5 cheetah brothers are going to be. So let's head back to him now and hope that Taylor at Djuma manages to find some signal.
Hello. I'm having some trouble with this map that's fallen apart, but if you give me a second I should be able to work things out. No, we don't. Oh, there we go. Marvelous. So what I would like to do is try and show you guys what's going on, where we are, how everything works. So, Ferg, if you don't mind zooming in a little bit. So, we are based, our camp is based just on the edge of the Mara Triangle. We're just outside the triangle, and we drive in, that's where the escarpment is, and I'm going to show this all to you now in real life, but I'd just like to give you the bearings on the map. We drove around, crossed the Mara Bridge over there. You can see a tiny little bridge. This is the Mara River flowing down. We crossed that bridge, then into the Mara North Conservancy, and then before we went live with the show, I was driving down this road over here, and then we've just passed through Musiara Gate. So the plan is to now head towards the Talek area. This is where most of the... Would you guys mind changing channel? This is where we're going to be looking for 5 male cheetah, and this is the Mara National Reserve, this is the Mara Triangle, and all of surrounding it. We will slowly make our way eventually to cross at the Purungat Bridge, which is right on the Tanzanian border, right in the south of the Masai Mara. So we're going to be doing a full traverse of the Mara show you how it all looks from here. We can actually see our camp up on the hills to our right, where James is nestled, where he's recovering. Oh no, is the pole in the way there? Okay. No, it's over. It's at 3 o'clock is where the camp is. So our camp is up there. There you can see FC, that black window is James's migration control, and FC is just to the right of that. So we traveled along the escarpment all the way, and then eventually dropped down, crossed through the Mara River, and made our way back to where we are. That's green patches, a well-known area called the Marsh, where very well-known of Pride of Lion spent time, called the Marsh Pride. They were very famous many years ago, but they seem to have disbanded since then and are spending more time outside of the reserve. They're spending time in the conservancies. So I hope that helped give you a bit of an idea of how the Mara works. And let's hope we get lucky with those 5 male cheetah. Hello to Mason. You would like to know if there are any snakes or reptiles in the Mara. Yes, there most certainly are. There are many different types of snakes, lizards, and one of the ultimate reptiles, the Nile crocodile, of which there are some absolute monsters. They spend most of their time in the Mara River, but there are a few monsters that live in the smaller rivers, like the Talek River that feeds into the Mara River. There's also a whole bunch of different lizards, chameleons, geckos, agamas. Snake-wise, I know for a fact that there are big pythons that occur here. One ate a hyena not too long ago. How's that for a story? As well as the only snakes I've seen is a brown house snake that Brent found just outside Final Control. I saw a black spitting cobra quite a sinister looking cobra, very big and bulky, pitch black, kind of a shiny black coloration. So yes, there certainly are a whole bunch, and I'll do my best to try and find you some. For the agamas, the lizards, we would need to try and find some rocky outcrops. That's where they like to spend time. And snakes, it's just absolute luck finding them. It can be quite tricky actually to find snakes, which frustrates me because I love seeing them. But it's a good lesson to be learned. Of all the hours we spend out looking at animals, we very seldomly get to show you snakes. And the reason why I say there's a lesson to be learned here is because they avoid us at all costs. When they hear vehicles coming, they slither off. It's only when we ambush them as humans, when we surprise them, even if they may also surprise us simultaneously by being in our home or somewhere where you're not expecting them. But it's only in those situations where you can really expect snakes to give us a hard time, when they're feeling cornered or trapped, or you're trying to catch or kill them. Failing that, they tend to avoid us, which is a pity, because it would be lovely to spend time with them. Imagine being able to follow a snake on its daily missions the same way we do with the lion and the leopard and the cheetah. It would provide us with some seriously interesting insights into their lives, what they get up to, how they hunt, what they hunt. The chameleons up in Kenya are absolutely awesome. South Africa doesn't have a huge variety of chameleons compared to East Africa. There's a whole bunch of really cool ones. Here we could expect to find the Jackson's three-horned chameleon, which is like a cross between a triceratops and a chameleon. It's got these incredible bony horns. Well, they wouldn't be bony horns, there'd be maybe bone inside, but I'm guessing it's mainly keratin horns. But they look like triceratops. Then you get the von Honel's chameleon, which has got a large disc on the top of its head. Not very different to the Diplodocus. So quite a few dinosaur-like chameleons moving through Kenya. We have been searching around camp but haven't seen any, and it could be because it's winter. They tend to hide out in the winter months and will be more active in summer, and the same applies to the flap-necked chameleons down at Djuma in South Africa. But I have noticed that I think Taylor had quite a good run. She had found quite a few the other night, even though it's winter, but they're definitely not as abundant in the colder months. Okay, well, we're going to continue making our way as quickly as we can into the area where these 5 male cheetahs have been lurking for the last few weeks. And while we do that, you are going to be transported to a river cam.
Hello everybody again. I'm sorry, there is a problem with this camera. It is zooming and unzooming of its own accord. What we're looking at there is the 3-banded plover. Little just feeding in that little, what we might term, it's not really an intertidal zone, but a kind of shoreline. And all areas, which probably means that it has one of the most varied diets, probably not much of a specialist. And the generalists almost always tend to do better than the specialists out here. Interesting. Side by side, often with much larger lapwing species, which used to be called plovers, of course, but now they're lapwings. And their diets are not profoundly different. But clearly they are different enough for the trophic niche, I quite like to use that word, trophic niche, for the trophic niche of each of them to be wide enough such they don't overlap sufficiently for there to be any need for them to move away from each other. Anyway, that's the story with the spur-winged lapwing and the 3-banded plover. We have something else there. John, you ask a very good question. You say, what is the difference between a reserve and a conservancy? Anything that's particularly interesting, but a conservancy out here is important because it is normally community owned. It's not national land, so it's owned by the community, whereas So, John, it's nominally, I suppose, the Masai Mara National Reserve might, I suppose, theoretically or technically belong to the Masai people. It does so through official channels in Narok, which is the sort of capital of this county. And so it's state land. Whereas the conservancies are, I think, as far as I can work out, although they're official arrangements, they are private arrangements between the Maasai people of the area and the, well, I suppose all the conservancy, the contributors to the conservancy, which would be tourism operators. They might have their own kind of headquarters, they might have their own wildlife management systems. I think largely they run them together, but they could. So basically, in a nutshell, I'm waffling away here, is that one is community-owned land and one is nationally owned land. William, you're just 8 years old. Oh, we've got a warthog there on Main South. Let's go there. William, you say you're sorry that I'm hurt. Thank you very much, William. That's very kind of you. You know, I have a nephew called William. You say, do the crocodiles get cross when so many, I think it was the crocodiles get cross when so many wildebeest and zebra jump into their water? William, they love it. Because, you know, they eat the crocodile, they eat the wildebeest and the zebra and everything else that jumps into the water. So although their peace is broken, they really do like it when things jump into the water, because then they can feed, they can eat. It's easy for them to catch things that are trying to cross the river. So they don't mind at all. I think you might find that the hippos don't like it too much, because they live very peaceful lives for the most part. And when thousands of wildebeest come jumping into the water, squealing and making a noise and going bang, 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 especially as the crocodiles then create even more splashing, I think for the hippos they must get very irritated, don't you? They have such peaceful lives most of the time. You know what? That is a hippo. It's not a rock. I was correct. It's got a head. See that? There we go, that's what I confused for a rock earlier on. Glad to see my eye is not quite as bad as I thought it was. There we are. Yeah, not much else going on at the crossings at the moment. I'll just quickly brighten that up a little bit and see if there isn't anything there. No. Okay, let's have a look from the mountain cam now. We can see the zebra that have very kindly come down off the hill. They've wandered down the hill and they were up in the hills around the camp. You have no idea how terrifying it is walking out of your tent at night to, well, you know, have your evening constitutional, and there you find a herd of zebra. It is wonderful and terrifying at the same time, because it, you know, in the bleariness of sleep, it's difficult to know what's out there. It could be anything really. But they've come down onto the plains now to graze, because the safety of the daytime has arrived. They know the Agama pride's around here somewhere, but they're not sure where. Right, Scott Dyson has now found my very favourite Mara antelope.
So this is certainly one of the largest groups of topies I have seen, and they're doing quite a good job performing for us. A lot of them are coming running straight down the barrel towards us. And if you just zoom to the right a little bit, or pan to the right, you'll see what I mean, that there's quite a few of them here. Lots in the background. All running around with a bit of a spring in their step, I guess because there's so many of them together that they are kind of inciting a little bit of excitement. The males are possibly all jostling with one another. The youngsters are playing with one another. So a very pleasant scene, and I just thought we'd stop here and share this with you, and also take a moment to scan around with my binoculars. You can see for so far from one place here that it makes sense to just stop and have a scan every now and then to see that there's nothing lying in the grass. Beautiful. A few other safari vehicles out and about searching for game, which is useful for us because if people start finding animals, the word spreads and we can all share sightings. What I'm hoping to also show you across this side of the river are some hyena. There's large populations of hyena that I've noticed on this side of the river. In the short time that I have spent across here, I've been astounded by the amounts of hyenas moving about, so that is something we could expect to see. But for now, we just have topies streaming towards us. One animal that we have still yet to capture crossing the Mara River, yet we will at some point. It's mainly been the zebra and wildebeest that we've seen crossing, one or two Thompson's gazelle. Very good. Hello to Michael. You're interested to know if there have been any recorded coalitions of cheetah that are bigger than 5, or what is the biggest? I've seen a coalition of 6 before, or at least footage thereof, and I think, if my memory serves me correctly, not in the very distant past, there was a coalition of 7 that were in the Kruger Park. Now that could be my little brain getting things confused, but I'd be very surprised if any coalitions larger than 6 or 7 have been documented. It would require 2 different sets of cheetah brothers to join forces to get to that many. It would be uncommon for a cheetah to be able to, or almost impossible for a cheetah to give birth to 6 or 7 cubs and raise them all. I think, although cheetah do give birth to quite high numbers of cubs, possibly 4 or 5, anything higher than that from one mother is unlikely. So that would have caused 2 different sets of brothers to initially have a scrap when they find one another, and then somehow manage to patch the relationship up and join forces. But if anybody else does know of any confirmed large coalitions of cheetah, please send us through any info on them, where they were, when they were actually seen, or if they're still currently in action. But I think we're very fortunate to have this coalition of 5 within our playground. We just need to work out their movements a little bit better and then be able to spend more time with them. Hello to Kobe, who's just 15 years old. You would like to know what the correct words are to describe a group of cheetah. Now, usually cheetah will move alone, and that's specifically or especially for the females. Females will not join up with other females, so they will only move on their own. So there's no word to describe a group of them. But the boys, the men, they sometimes join forces, like the cheetah we're going to go and look for now. There's 5 of them together, and that is termed a coalition of cheetah. It is also the same for lion. If a few big male lions join forces, that is called a coalition of lions. Whereas what makes the lion and the cheetah difference is that the lioness, the female lions, will join together, and that is called a pride. There's no other group of animals that you would call the pride in Africa. It's only the lion. Leopard and cheetah are solitary, both male and female, except for the case of cheetahs from time to time where they do join into these groups. So I hope that helps you, Kobe. Good to have you with us. There's a small little forest just up ahead of us, and there you can see it. It brings back cold, uneventful and unexciting memories from my first full night out in the Mara, where we spent it with 4 young male lions. I possibly didn't pick the best bunch to spend the night with because they were full-bellied, but I was hoping they were going to get up to something at least. They didn't. From sunset until basically sunrise, they were fast asleep. Okay, we're in luck. I can see some hyenas lying in the grass. There could even be a den site there. Yeah, no. Hard to be certain. What differs from the den sites in the Mara compared to those in the Sabi sands is that a lot of the termites that do their business here in the Mara do it subterranean, so their mounds don't stick up nearly as much out of the ground as the ones in South Africa. So you tend to find that the hyenas' dens are not as easy to notice or see, yet there are often networks of burrows below the ground. I cannot be certain if there's one there, but there's certainly 3 hyenas taking it easy. And I'm just going to scan around and see if I can't find any more. Nope. The hyena clans up here are incredibly complex, and again, it's something that we are all looking forward to getting to know a little bit better. The clans can be as big as 100, sometimes 100 plus, which is mammoth regarding hyena clans. It's a place that they thrive here in the Mara. And it's also important that I say, a big reason why they thrive is not because there's lots of easy meals for them to scavenge, it's because there's lots of easy meals for them to hunt themselves, especially during the migration months. I've heard of stories of hyena taking down 5 or 6 wildebeest in a very short space of time, 15-20 minutes. So they are killing machines. They do not only scavenge. However, like most wild animals, they will take whatever route is the easiest, and that's no different to lion, leopard, cheetah. They all scavenge when they can. So it's important that we don't just paint the hyenas in a bad light, because it's common practice out here. If you are big and strong, you get what you want. And a lot of bullying and stealing of food happens throughout all the species. All right. Hello, Mita. Good to have you with us. You're wondering if any animals have tried to crawl, slither, or break their way into my tent yet, and no. The only animals that have come into my tent have been insects when I leave my light on, when I'm sitting in the evening at my desk with my flaps open. So a few moths have been the only real visitors. However, I'm sure it won't take long for us to find some more interesting creatures moving through our tents. But to be honest, most of the time the animals are not interested in coming close to us, and they tend to want to do their own thing and not bother us, which is good. That doesn't look like a good place to cross. So I shall go back and search for a better road. But animals that we do have moving through camp, we have a lot of zebra that move through camp. Sometimes they come galloping through, which is quite exciting. There have been 1 or 2 hyenas seen coming through camp. VM said he saw a civet, which is kind of like an African raccoon, and he said it was the size of a leopard one night. So there are a few critters, but our camp is new. It's just been built, so I think a lot of the animals are still getting used to the new kids on the block, and maybe once they have got a little bit more used to our camp, they may be a little bit more comfortable moving through it. Have you had any visitors, Ferg? Not yet? No, zebras and mosquitoes. Zebras and mosquitoes for Ferg. Okay, so we are going to send you across the Mara River onto a vehicle with Steph.
To everybody else here in Kenya today. Right now, Scott is across that green line of trees that you see there in the distance. I don't know where exactly he is over there, but he's somewhere across that we are going to be going right through all the herds of animals that you see now. We're going to be going to the other side of that hill. You keep on coming right, keep on coming right. We're going to follow that line of river, that forest that you're seeing over there. And we're going to try and get as far down as we can. Now you'll start seeing in the distance another line of blue hills in the background. Behind that forested, those forested hills, we are going to be going there today. That is our goal. I haven't been there in quite some time, and I must say I'm looking forward to coming out there this morning with all of you and seeing what's around. Basically, we've got the migration just lying very, very close to where we are now, but for the most part we have just got the resident herds living here right now. We're going to see if we can show you some of those things, and I don't quite know what to expect. I can tell you we're going to see a lot of zebra today. Now, Natalie, you wanted to know if the land has been cleared or if what you're looking at is natural. Natalie, it's a little bit of well, unnatural, I suppose, if you wanted to know. It's a little bit of both, Natalie, to be honest. It's naturally supposed to look like this. It's supposed to look a little bit thicker with the bushes and trees. But because people have been part of this environment for hundreds, if not thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of years, they have terraformed this area through the use of fire, through the use of cattle, and basically these areas go through periods where they are thickly bushed, where there are grasslands, and back to thickly bushed again. And just depends on really the time of year, where the people have been, where cattle have been, where animals have moved to, where there's been rain, where there hasn't been rain. And generally speaking, an equilibrium of sorts. There's no such thing as a balance out here in Africa, of course. Everything is in a constant state of movement between one thing and another. And here we have come out of a very thickly forested area, or era, I should say, into a more plains-like era. And who knows what's going to happen in the next couple of years. Very difficult to judge these things, you know. Everything here is tied towards rainfall and people, basically. And who knows what type of effect rainfall and people are going to have on this particular reserve over the next 2, 3, 5, 10, 50, 100 years from now. Things might look very different to what they are now. What I can tell you though is that the view is spectacular from where we are at the moment, and these grass plains with the single trees growing on them with a slight sort of undulating terrain that we get you some of the most fantastic shots that you can. So between myself and Senzo, who is my cameraman today, and please excuse me for not introducing him right off the bat, and we're going to see if we can get you some nice screenshots to put on your desktop today or on your phone. Just remind you of what you're missing out on over here, or actually what you've been part of, not missing out on, albeit through your screen. All right. So, Blue Rapper, you wanted to know, are there many different species of zebra that you find out here in Africa, and have any of them gone extinct? Yes to both of your questions there, Blue Rapper. We do have many different species of zebra around. Not in this particular area. In this particular area we just get the plain zebra, but you do get other types of zebra, which I'll try and show you in a moment. And have zebra gone extinct? Yes, there's many horses, or many different types of horses have gone extinct over the years, and for a whole bunch of reasons. Out-competed, just evolved, you know, evolution just leaving them behind, etc., etc. Let me show you here where we are now. So African horses start basically where you can see there. This is the common zebra. This is the one that we have here. That there have been many different kinds. One of the most common of the extinct horses is this one here, the quagga, as it's called. And that was made extinct just in South Africa a couple of years ago in actual fact, hunting pressure. So zebra, and there's a couple of different subspecies of mountain zebra. I can change the page here again. That's the you find a little bit further north of here. Look at those big comical ears. They use them to signal at one another. Isn't that the... And that was that for the zebras. So you got your mountain zebras, you got your Grevy's zebras, your common zebras, and of course the quagga that they've gone extinct with. I'll put my books back in my library over here while we go about it. And so yes, things are evolving all the time. So you do find zebra all over the place. At the moment, the most common ones that we find over here are they are mobile zebras, in other words migratory, and then you've got zebras that are sedentary, and they called the loiter group. Anyway, let's leave this zebra alone. And I see there are some buffalo in the valley in front of us. Let's go and have a look at what they've been up to. I think the buffalo at the moment are around about there in the trees. A buffalo in this area are hunted by lion, but not as much as what the lions hunt smaller prey like these zebra and the wildebeest and topi. That is the lion's prey. That is what they're supremely designed to catch, and they generally speaking leave buffalo alone here. It's not that they don't eat buffalo. I'm sure if they got a chance and managed to hook a claw into one, they'll give it a good go. For the most part, they tend to hunt the other animals, zebra and wildebeest mostly. Waterbuck, topi. It's not that cold this morning. I have got my jacket on because it was a bit chilly when I woke up this morning, but now I could quite easily take my jacket off, and I've got short sleeves and shorts on. Oh, my earpieces come undone. Kirsty, was there a message there for me? Comms test, all good? Marissa, you've asked an interesting question. You've asked the question, do you think the migration is starting late because of climate change? That's a big discussion, Marissa, that we're going to probably tackle throughout the rest of the drive, because it has so many different layers to it. So off of the cuff, I don't think that this year's migration was started particularly because of climate change, albeit it said that the zebras started to move out of the Serengeti about 3 weeks before they normally do, 3-4 weeks, and they've arrived in the Mara, in the Masai Mara, about 3 or 4 weeks before they normally do. However, I do want to say that there's no such thing as normal here, and that a swing of 3 or 4 weeks in either direction, or even 5 or 6 weeks, is commonplace. So to say that the migration started earlier or started later because of climate change this year would be saying something that's not 100% true. But, and I heard an interesting thing yesterday, that everything before the word but in a sentence you can discount it being absolute nonsense. But let's just go from the but forward thing. Is there such a thing as climate change? Is it affecting weather patterns across the planet? Will it affect this migration and the growth of grass, etc., etc.? Absolutely. There's no doubt in my mind that the climate is changing. There's no doubt in my mind that that will have an effect on the grass cover, and that will then in turn have an effect on the animals and how they use that grass cover throughout the seasons. So that's why I say that there's yes in both accounts there. Do I attribute climate change to people? I think I can attribute the accelerated climate change to people, and therefore the effect that it's having on natural environments ability to evolve with it, I can attribute that to people, and whether it's negative or not, I suppose is where the debate is going to come in. I mean, to give you an example, in some areas in the world, mudslides or volcanoes create far more damage in a short space of time locally, and can have quite a massive effect on local and global climate. Are people part of the natural system out here? Yes, absolutely. People are absolutely part of the natural environment out here, and to discount people as part of that natural environment would be a fault. We finally reached the buffalo, and so what I'm going to do is carry on with that discussion when next you come to us. But have a look at these buffalo, and for as long as what I suppose Kirsty's happy with it, and once you're done looking at these buffalo, we'll send you over to Scott.
Hello, hello, and welcome back. We have found a very large flock of ostriches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, 9, 10. 10 ladies. Maybe this is a book club, or they're having a tea party, no men in sight, which is quite interesting. You usually see males lurking around the flocks, even though they don't have set flocks. I guess they just like to spend time with the ladies. Now, the thought of these 10 ostriches laying eggs and hatching out possibly the cutest little birds on earth, some baby ostriches, something that I am looking forward to. I haven't worked in areas with many ostriches. Where I was up in northern Kenya before I returned to Safari Live, I did see my first baby ostriches. There's decent ostrich populations up there. Interestingly, a different ostrich to this, the Somali ostrich, which has blue legs, especially the males. The females look fairly similar to this, but they certainly do have a bluer tinge to their legs and neck. So you get two different subspecies of ostrich. But really looking forward to seeing some youngsters, also to find some nests to show you their gigantic eggs, which I'm told on average about 16 chicken eggs go into one ostrich egg, to give you an idea of their size. Very good. We are just making our way up onto an area called the Ridge. Let me actually show you where we are. Hello, John. You're wondering imagining what it would be like to see ostriches flying. And yes, that would be an incredible thing to see. And you asked if they ever did fly. I'm sure many years ago, until they evolved into the ground-dwelling beasts that they are, that they did once fly. How many thousands of years ago did that change? I'm not too sure. Sorry, as you've realized, I'm getting blitzed by the sun here. Thanks, Ferg. Ferg's becoming a human umbrella, trying to block it out. So yes, I'm sure at one point in their evolutionary phases they were flying beasts, and that would have been a serious thing to see a bird of that size flying overhead. For now, though, we do have a relative of the heaviest flying bird that roams through these plains, called the Kori bustard. Oh, sorry, I forgot I was going to show you on the map where we were. So I think we are kind of approaching what is called Rhino Ridge over here along one of these roads. These maps are fairly outdated and not the most useful, to be honest, but we've got a general idea of where we need to get to, and that is over here. So we need to move a little bit further south and east and work around the northern side of the Talek River, in the hope that we will bring you some wonderful, wonderful views of 5 male cheetah. I sadly haven't heard back from the cheetah researcher. Maybe she is out of network or on holiday. Okay. I'm sure a lot of you are enjoying having Steph behind the wheel again. He's been caught up doing a lot of the camp management tasks, which is a serious job at the moment. There's a lot going on in camp. So as much as you're enjoying seeing him, I'm sure he's also enjoying having the wind in his face again. Back to him and some buffalo.
I definitely am enjoying having the wind in my face, because it's definitely not going to be blowing my hair anyway soon. And it is actually quite nice being out, to be honest. A change of scenery and a change of pace is always a good thing. It's like being on holiday, really. And what a fantastic place to be on holiday. Look at that view. This is now looking east across the Mara Triangle, across the band of bush that marks the edge of the Mara Triangle. That is the Mara River. And then the Masai Mara Game Reserve on the other side. And in between us, we've got this herd of buffalo. Now, it's quite interesting in that in the Sabi Sands, where Taylor's driving around, we very rarely see big herds of buffalo. They come in, they spend a day, maybe two, and then they go out. But these herds of buffalo don't, because there's just so much grass here. And that's the key difference between here and there, is that the grass here is thick and lush. Grass dominates the savanna here. And of course, the large herbivores that live on it don't need to travel as far to get enough good grass to eat. And here we've got a female. Just look at that. Horns are shiny, nose is shiny, coat is shiny. And on it, we've got some oxpeckers. Another rarity in the Sabi Sands is the yellow-billed oxpecker. These are now all yellow-billed oxpeckers that you're seeing on top of these buffalo. The buffalo herd that hangs around Djuma does have a couple of yellow-billed oxpeckers on it, but oxpeckers went extinct in the Kruger National Park and were reintroduced. A couple of pairs were reintroduced, and only, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, I saw my first yellow-billed oxpecker in the Kruger Park and in the Sabi Sands. Very successful conservation project. Here, of course, they haven't gone extinct, mainly because the cattle here are not dipped as often as the cattle were in South Africa, which led to the demise of the yellow-billed oxpecker. They were eating poisoned ticks. And of course, now that poison has been banned, and of course, there's much better farming practices. Although here, you know, you'd be quick to judge this place as having primitive farming methods, but they haven't created the extinction of anything. I suppose that says much for itself, doesn't it? It's nice to look at with these buffalo. Yeah, Scott Dyson has just sent me a comment to say that he hasn't seen one red-billed oxpecker since he's been here talking about oxpeckers. And I haven't been out nearly as much as what Scott and Brent and James and Jamie have. But I must be honest, I also haven't seen any red-billed oxpeckers here. I don't even know if they occur this far north. Now, of course, what I'm going to do now is pull out a book. Unlike my colleagues who have made the transition into the IT world much easier than I do, I still carry around a 300-ton box of books. Now, what am I looking for here? Oxpeckers, that's it. These buffalo moving about. These buffalo will move basically just one in front of the other, trying to look for the best food and push each other into an area like that every day. And so basically they'll just move based on how hungry they are. And then at night time, if they are harassed by lions, they'll move a little bit. Unlike in the Sabi Sands, where the lions basically harass the buffalo from one pride territory to another, forcing these buffalo to sometimes gallop for kilometers. All right, I have found that there are red-billed oxpeckers here. So here we go. So this is the more common oxpecker that we find in the Sabi Sand, but less common here. apparently they are frequented or frequently seen on hippos, which will be interesting to see. So here we don't have red-billed oxpeckers on giraffe or zebra or wildebeest. We have them on hippo, and I'm going to keep my eye open for that. The one that we do see most commonly here, but do not see in the Sabi sands that common, is the yellow-billed oxpecker, which is what we're looking at on top of these buffalo now. And they are the birds that eat ticks more than what they eat blood. The red-billed oxpecker is a blood-feeding bird, and probably why you find them mainly on the hippos here, and that the hippos fight with one another. Large concentration of hippos fight with one another here, and there are a large concentration of hippos. That means that they fight with each other a lot more, and of course there'd be more blood available for those ones. So I'll definitely have a look, see if we can show you some. So you do find both species of oxpeckers here. Nice to know. It's just we've been looking in the wrong place for them. Where we should be looking is on the hippo. Amazing that. You come into an area, you learn something completely new about the behavior of birds and about, well, behavior of anything really. Nice to learn new things. Alright, oopsie, let's carry on going. Got a long way to go today. No dawdling today like I generally like to do. Sorry Kirsty, my earpiece fell out again. Tess, you just wanted to know how close are buffalo related to the American bison. That's a good question, Tess. I suppose quite close, to be honest. But before I answer that question, Tess, you need to go to Taylor all the way back in South Africa. She's got something exceptional for you.
Welcome everybody. I'll introduce myself in just a moment. Have a look straight down the middle of the road. I think this is so much more important. Okay, they said we can go in front, Seb. Okay. Let's go in front. Right, I'll do the introduction. Right, morning everybody. Gremlins have been attacking us hard. My name is Taylor, and on camera with me is Sebastian. Morning, thank you guys. What a great start to the morning. We've got wild dogs, 3 wild dogs by the looks of it, and I'm so happy because everybody has been so wonderful with us, because obviously they know that we haven't really been seeing much. They've just said that we can come straight into the sighting, so thank you to the Arathusa guides and the Chitwa guides for allowing us to come in for this. Woohoo! Even that wild dog was like, oh no, that crazy blonde girl's back. She's found us. How exciting is this? I don't know which wild dogs it is just yet. I've literally only just got a moment to see them. I'm going to try and get in front of them. I just want to see. We're going to try and get in front of them, because these dogs are going to move quite quickly, and I think if we can get in front of them instead of following them the whole time, it will be easier. Ah, go Wendy, turn! No, not happening. Right. It seems as though Wendy, of course, you know, is the tank, and she doesn't move very quickly. But how cool is this? Oh, it looks like they're also going off-road now, isn't it? Trying to figure out what these dogs are doing. I don't think we're going to have them for much longer. I think they're heading to the boundary now. I know it's been a quick view and we haven't really had much of a chance to have a look at them. We're going to loot yourself. I'm just listening, trying to figure out which is going to be the best way. See, everyone's going off-road now. Right, how exciting is this? Obviously, as you know, wild dogs make you run around quite a bit. I don't even know if I can drive here. Sounds like they're chasing waterback. I'm listening to the radio as we're driving along. I don't know where they've gone. They're up ahead, but they are chasing waterback. This is one of the guides up in front. I think it's Andries that's actually talking on the radio. Whew. Now I know that there are 2 packs of dogs of 3. One from the lower Sabi, the last of the lower Sabi pack, and then there's another breakaway pack. But of course you saw we didn't get a really good view of them. It was really just a split-second view. And they're zigzagging up and down. I can see them, they're just up ahead on the road. And this is the problem with wild dogs. Not that it's a problem, because even if you get to see them for a split second, you're very, very, very lucky, of course. But they don't move in a straight line, ever. Not even once. I don't know if I can drive here. I need to ask. Is this still Chitwa? Yes. Okay. Everyone's laughing at me because I don't know the roads. We don't have an online map, so it's always difficult looking at a paper map and trying to figure out where they're going. Oh no, now they're taking their own route. That means we're going to follow them. They're looking for something to eat, obviously, especially if they're moving this erratically through the bush. Now I apologize if I don't look back at you. Watch your head, Seb. It's just because I'm going to try and stay on them and follow them for these guys. We're lucky, we're quite nimble through the bushes. Whereas when you've got guests on the back of your vehicle, it can be quite difficult to move as quickly as you need to when you've got dogs. Hold on, Seb, there's warthog burrows here. You know what? I don't think we're going to get in here. They're going straight east, but I've lost visuals. My Ningi monkey orange here, I won't be able to follow them. Okay, so just keeping them updated. They're going straight east. We need to try and get out of here now, because there's no ways. Goodness, we almost went down to China there, hey Seb? We went that was a big warthog burrow. Alice, are you still there? I don't know how I'm going to get out of here now. So I was wondering if Alice is still around, and maybe I wasn't live. No, Seb, I don't know how we're going to get out of here now. I'm going to have to go. Sorry if the tree's on the left. Good, eh? Okay. Now my earpiece has just fallen out, so I can't actually hear what's going on. Ah! Those sneaky dogs took us straight into a trap. Now I don't know where we're going to go to relocate on them. Yeah, we're gonna have to. There's many fallen trees there. Okay, watch your heads here. And myself and Seb have got the sniffles today too. It's freezing. We've got blankets on our laps. We've got all sorts of things. Let me just quickly concentrate and get back onto the road. Watch heads. Seb is obviously expert at ducking and diving, especially when I'm driving. But there's only one way to follow wild dogs, and it's not slowly. Okay, right, let's go. Come on, Wendy. Yeah, Rusty was giving us signal problems this morning, so we had to change over to the trusty rust bucket. This is the fun part. Whee! Try and duck through there. And go all the way down this way. They're going straight east, so I don't actually know where they're going to pop out. Hopefully we'll be able to jump onto a road that goes to our left. But they move so quickly. Right, okay, here we go. No, Wendy, turn! The tank. I think we should rename her to Thomas the Tank Engine. I reckon that's a more suited name. Wendy the Tank. Okay, I'm looking for cars. I'm looking for flashes of white from the dogs. But I think, oh, little bumps here. We're going to keep going. But if any of you do know which pack of dogs it is, here's, I see a vehicle. Welcome to let us know, hashtag Safari Live. Perhaps you managed to grab the quickest screenshot in world history of Safari Live. Are they coming here by the sounds of it? Let's pull off. I'm going to go up a little bit further. So they're obviously trying to flash out prey, from impala to many different things. There they are. To duiker, to steenbok. You see, they go on the move, and they've got such amazing stamina that they can keep it up for quite a long time. They do look like they have a bit of blood on their paws, though, and they've got round bellies, so I wonder if they haven't already caught something. See those big bellies? Sure, they're quick. Here comes the other one, Seb. Oh, you got it. They're quick, eh? There they are. Yeah. Do you want to come this? Can you booger? Okay. What I might do, Seb, is I'm going to go back just a little bit so we can all fit in. There we go. Oh no, now we can't see. There we go. That's all right. If you jigger them over, then they'll be able to see. There we go. We're just quickly talking and watching them. Oh. Now you see, that's what happens when your diet consists of just protein. Unfortunately, you end up having a not so great stomach. We see this often. We often see it with lions too. Their stool is not always completely solid. But I wonder what they must have caught. Did you guys see them catch something?
They were eating something in impala, and the hyena came and steal it.
Ah, so how's this? So apparently they were eating impala, and then the hyenas came through, and they were stealing. Well, they tried to steal it from the dog. So at least they got a couple of mouthfuls. This is amazing. So what we'll do is once they decide where they're going to go again, we will carry on and we'll head in that direction. We're obviously all just cramped up on top of each other because we want to get the best view, and at the moment the way that we're parked is the best view for all of us in the sighting. But how amazing is this? I didn't think I was going to wake up and see wild dogs today. I had that feeling the other day. Okay, so apparently you guys are saying that it is the Lower Sabi breakaway pack. Oh, that's good. Thank you so much for assisting us in that ID. So if I'm not mistaken, this is 2 males and a female. I think that's the breakaway pack. There's also a red-crested korhaan calling in the distance. Now, one has moved off into the bushes. Let's see if the other 2 are going to follow them. But how great is this? Now they've come from a very, very long way. If any of you know where Lower Sabi is and with the Kruger, it's quite a distance. Okay, let's try. I'm going to quickly just go back and we'll follow them down the road. Now Paula, you're wondering if wild dogs normally stay in packs. Yes, they do. It's not common to see a solitary wild dog. You see, it's very important for their hunting habits in order to hunt in a group. It's like lions. Lions are more successful when they hunt together. Here's one of them. We'll carry on up the road though. I'm actually not sure if I'm still on Chitwa. We'll just keep going until we get told we're not on the right property. But like I said, I don't actually know where we are right now. We're on one of the roads. We haven't quite got to we haven't got to Cheetah Plains driveway just yet, so I'm sure we're still in the clear. Here comes another one. This is a male at the back here. I'm trying to figure out who's who in the zoo. One male I've definitely seen. We'll try and get the sexes of the other 2. There's a female. I think it is, yeah, 2 males and a female if I'm not mistaken. Oh, that's also a boy. Is it? Yes. Never mind, those are 2 males. Let's see this one at the back. Looks slightly more fine. Yeah, that looks like the girl. You see what they're doing now? How they're rolling in the grass? There must be another scent of maybe another animal around here. They're also marking their territories. But remember, we often see with lions, leopards, wild dogs, they'll roll around in another scent to try and mask their scent. And if any of you have been fortunate enough to go on a safari and see wild dogs, you'll know that you can smell them. And it's often what, other than seeing a flash of white or having antelope alarming quite hectically, is you'll smell them. They leave their scent everywhere. It's a sweet, stinky, blue cheese, dirty sock smell. It's not particularly pleasant at all. And off they go again through the thicket. You see, we're not going to be able to follow them through there. It gets so dense. And now we've got to try and figure out which direction they're going to go. Let's watch them because, like I said, they're zigzagging. Wow, okay. Let's Let's carry on, let's go. We're going to try and race around and catch them up there. Natalie, you said that they've got such a spring to their step. They do indeed. You don't often get to see lazy wild dogs, if you will. Of course, they do enjoy having their rests, just as lions and leopards will have siestas and things like that. Wild dogs as well when it gets very hot. Hornbills, I'm coming through. Excuse me. Don't get run over, please. They didn't want to move off the road. You know that one time when you can't really wait and stop and have a look at the hornbills and they don't want to fly away? Where were you yesterday? All the markets morning. We're just going to practice again though. Slightly more, oh yes.
Isn't it amazing that you can go from hunting with wild dogs in South Africa all the way back into the Mara Triangle with me trying to get close to the river? Now, Taylor did have a few gremlins. That's what happens every now and again when we do chase, especially things like wild dogs through that thick bush in Djuma. I hope you'll forgive us, and as soon as Taylor finds some signal again, we'll get you back to her and that lovely wild dog chase that you were. Isn't that interesting? Wild dogs this time of the year at Djuma, always special to see. Now we are coming up to the river, and this particular area is some rangers, those who keep all our animals safe. These guys here, they're part of the park's administrative team, and it includes a whole range of people, but importantly it includes a bunch of park rangers who are specially trained to make sure that, you know, rules are adhered to and that this place stays as pristine as what it is. They do a really, really valuable, really important job. Now, this particular area is a swampy area. It doesn't look like it's swampy because it's a bit dry now, and so the grass is all brown. But it does hold an amazing amount of animals, amazing array, but also volume of animals as well. Now see, what we're coming up to now is another herd of buffalo. It's quite rare to see two herds of buffalo in such a short space of time. And what might happen, or what might be, is that the herd was either split last night by some lions, which quite often happens. It takes a day or two to get back together again, or it's a completely different herd just in this proximity, which is rare because buffalo will tend to move away from one another, herds wise at least anyway, so that they don't compete for the same grass. This is also a fairly sizable herd. Michael, you wanted to know what is my favorite part of living in the Mara so far. Michael, I would have to say that right now the first thought that's coming into my mind is the exploration of a new area. It's always so exciting to come into a new place and to explore what's around another corner and another piece of bush and another animal, and what's in that forest and what's in that thicket. And it's nice when you get to do that. It is exciting, and that's probably about the best for me so far. What this is also going to give us an opportunity to do is to discuss Tessa's question from a little bit earlier about whether or not these buffalo are related to a North American bison, or for that matter a musk ox or a yak or any of these bizarre animals that look the same. So obviously the bovidae, or the cattle as you would have it, share similar characteristics. These bulky herbivores that eat predominantly grass, in some instances are quite hairy, especially in cold areas. They all have these massive horns, and you find them everywhere. You find from musk ox through to well, let's say musk ox and yak in areas with very cold climates, all the way through to buffalo and water buffalo in the more temperate or the more how do I say, the warmer areas around the world. Just have a look at these buffalo here. They're coming out of the forest. Rare to actually have one in a forest, to be quite honest. These buffalo, they tend to stick to the open grassy lands more than they do the forested areas. Although in this particular instance, it looks like they absolutely came out of the forest now. Now, Tiny in the USA, you just wanted to know if these buffalo are slightly different to the ones that we see at Djuma, because their horns are slightly different. You know, you've hit on the one and only difference that I've seen between these buffalo. These are the common buffalo, the Cape buffalo. They're exactly the same species as the one that we find at Djuma in the Kruger Park. The only difference I can see is their horns, and the difference in their horns is that the East African buffalo, East African common or Cape buffalo, for me has a flatter horn with a more wickedly curved tip. Now that's a female, and a young female. Is it a female? Looks like a female. No, it's a male. That's a young male, and so you don't see that very typically flattened boss that the East African buffalo have. Let's see if I can find us a male to have a look at, to show you what I'm talking about. So, let's see. If we go left a little bit to those buffalo there, and you zoom in there, you'll see that is very typically East African, a very flattened boss with flattish horns. Doesn't mean that they're any smaller than the buffalo horns that we find in South Africa. Arguably, I've seen the biggest buffalo that I've ever seen in my life here in East Africa rather than in South Africa. But they do have this typically flattened boss with these flattened horns, and then the horns widen up to the tips. But no, they're not a different species, same species, just different vegetation, different minerals, and different genetics in these groups here have created a slightly different look. And who knows, in years to come, they might actually branch out into a separate subspecies and eventually into a separate species as well. And that's basically how it works out here. But these buffalo, they're not as calm around vehicles and people as what the buffalo in the Kruger National Park are, and I don't actually know why. I would assume that it's because buffalo and cattle are in competition for the same resource, and that people out here harass buffalo herds to leave pastures, and so they are a little bit less tolerant of vehicles and absolutely less tolerant of people on foot. The buffalo here, in particular the bull, the single bull buffaloes here, are they just give you the feeling that they want to chase you. Not that the ones in what's happening over here? We've got buffalo running on our left hand side. He was just left behind. Nothing chasing him in particular. Right, I think this will be a good time now to move on, and Scott's managed to find you something quite cool on the other side of the river.
So we've got lucky, not with the cheetah, but with a large pride of lion. This is the first one we've decided to show you. He is leading the rest of the pride. He's not a dominant male, he's a young male, still hanging out with his mothers. There's quite a few vehicles enjoying the sighting with us. Look at all these lions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And there's still a few more that I think are out of frame. 8, 9, 10. So I think that's 11 lions in total, of all varying ages. There's some kind of 6-month-old cubs, which I'm guessing is the one on the right of your screen. And I did also, I'm fairly sure, see some smaller cubs at some points. We tried to get you a little bit closer to the action, but it was in a low-lying area, so we didn't have any signal there. So we've just retreated up onto some higher ground But it seems we're in luck because they're making their way straight towards us. Now, looking at their bellies, they don't seem like they've had a successful night hunting. Although that young male's not looking too bad, but he's going to be the biggest and the strongest out of them. So if the lioness do manage to take down anything, he will overpower them. Having said that, the lioness that you can see following him is an absolute beast, possibly the biggest lioness I have ever seen. Look at her muscles and her chest. She is an absolute brute. Also very easily distinguishable because of that very distinctive notch in her right ear and left ear. So we're definitely going to be able to keep tabs of who she is. I'm not sure which pride this is. It could possibly be the Ridge Pride, which is a well-known pride from this general area. The ridge is probably about 2 kilometers to the west of us, and they're kind of heading roughly in that direction. A little scent mark as she goes. She is an absolutely incredible specimen of a lioness. And when I first saw her, I couldn't actually believe what my eyes were looking at. She is ginormous. Michael, you say she has swag, and she does. She's got a certain swagger about her. Well, I'm very, very glad that they've decided to walk straight towards us. We've been very lucky with that. I'm interested to see if the rest of the pride follows. If we just take a quick look back before she comes too close, and we'll give you some closer views of her. The rest of them are lurking in that bush over there. So they may be taking a short break, or they may want to spend the rest of the day in this shady croton thickets. Time will tell. But let's try and get you some more close-up views of these two that are walking straight past us. Absolutely wonderful. Jane, you're just like me. Thanks for sending that feedback. And if any of you would also like to send through your thoughts or comments, #Safari Live,